Herencia de la Bruja, The Witch's Legacy, a prequel. Part 1, The Bloodline. Chapter 1, The Teaching. The first lesson my mother gave me happened when I was 6 years old. In the kitchen, where the world smelled like cilantro and cinnamon and possibility. Magic, she said, spreading a deck of cards across the wooden table worn smooth by generations of hands, is just conversation with truth. Most people are too afraid to listen. I was small enough that my feet didn't touch the floor when I sat. Small enough that the cards seemed impossibly large. My mother, Rosa Delgado, was tall and gray and moved with the kind of certainty that made people step aside on the street. Pick a card, she said. Don't show me. Look at it. Really see it. Everything about it. The image, the colors, how it makes you feel. I chose the high priestess, a woman sitting between pillars, crowned and serene. Now put it back. I did. She shuffled the deck with hands that never hesitated. Hands that knew exactly what they were doing. Your card, she said, turning the 16th card. It was the high priestess. I gasped, but my mother wasn't looking at me triumphantly. She was looking at the card with sadness. Don't be impressed by the trick, she told me. Be aware of what it means. I didn't magic that card to the 16th position. I simply knew where it was. The cards told me. And the cards tell the truth because they are true, archetypal, essential, beyond lying. Magic isn't about bending reality. It's about listening to what reality is trying to tell you. She gathered the cards, set them aside. Your grandmother could do more impressive things. She could call rain. She could heal infections. She could make a man love a woman against his will. Her voice was flat, factual, but those tricks cost her. Everything impressive costs something. The real power, the only power worth having, is the power to see. Once you see truly, action becomes clear. Once you know what's really happening, you know what has to be done. I was 6. I didn't fully understand, but I felt the weight of it. The way she was passing something down that had been passed to her, that had been passed through our family since before Mexico was Mexico. Will you teach me? I asked. I'm already teaching you, she said. By not letting you be impressed by magic. By showing you that power isn't as rare as people think. They're just too scared to use it, and too stupid to understand it when they see it. This was my mother. Blunt, practical, unforgiving. She was also absolutely right. Chapter 2, Blood Memory. My family's magic didn't begin with my mother, or her mother, or even her mother's mother. It began, according to family records, with Citlalli Delgado in 1487, which was approximately 6 years before Columbus arrived to ruin everything. Citlalli was a priestess of Tezcatlipoca, the smoking mirror god. She was also, the family stories say, the most powerful in central Mexico. She could read the future in obsidian. She could speak to the Nahuatl, the spirit double. She survived the Spanish conquest and the subsequent decimation of our people by understanding something fundamental. The gods didn't die. They just changed their names and waited. When the Catholic priests came with their crosses, Citlalli didn't resist. She incorporated. Saint Sebastian became Tezcatlipoca. The Virgin Mary wore the serpent's skirt of Coatlicue. Santa Muerte, death the merciful, death the inevitable, merged with ancient underworld deities and became the most powerful saint in the Mexican spiritual landscape. Citlalli lived to be 93 years old. Impossible at that time. Impossible without power. She had 3 daughters. Each inherited her gift. Each passed it down. The bloodline continued, unbroken, through the centuries. My great-great-grandmother, Isabella, was known to have cursed a government official who tried to steal her land. He lost all his teeth within a month. His hair turned white. He went mad screaming about the voices in his head. He eventually threw himself into the river. Everyone said it was bad luck. Everyone avoided our house just to be safe. My grandmother, Merced, actually made a deal with Mictlantecutli, the Lord of the Dead, to recover a stolen child. She went into a vision state for 3 days. Her body lay unbreathing. When she woke, she walked directly to the place where the child was being held, found her, and brought her home. The kidnappers scattered, convinced the house was haunted. My mother, Rosa, kept her power quiet but absolute. She healed. She read cards. She advised women on matters that the church would have called witchcraft and executed her for. But she was smart, never showy, never demonstrated more than necessary. Just competent, just always right, just enough that people came to her when they were desperate and doctors had failed. She taught me that the best magic is the magic people don't notice is magic. If they think you're just lucky, she would say, they can't accuse you of witchcraft. But if you know you're blessed, that's what matters. Chapter 3, The Community. By the time I was 15, I had already inherited my mother's quiet reputation. People came to our house for reasons they didn't fully articulate. They would say, I was in the neighborhood, or I thought I smelled your cooking, or simply, I needed to see you. What they meant was, I'm desperate. The doctors have failed. The police won't help. The priests have nothing to offer. You're my last resort, and I believe you can do something impossible. Usually I could. A woman whose husband was beating her. I made a tea she drank each night that didn't poison him, but made him sicken whenever he approached her with violence. He started sleeping in another room. Eventually, I left. She rebuilt her life. A man whose business was failing because a competitor had somehow positioned himself to steal every good deal. I created a muñeco with the competitor's name and buried it under the corner of his office building. His business collapsed, not from magic, just from the absolute certainty that something was fundamentally wrong, which made him hesitant, which cost him deals. Confidence is power. Fear costs everything. A teenage boy drowning in depression, medication resistant, drifting toward suicide. I worked with his mother. We created an altar for his guardians, called the protective spirits, gave him tasks that anchored him to purpose. He became a social worker, helped hundreds of people. This was my magic, seeing what people needed and using knowledge of how the world actually works to give it to them. But underneath was always the old power, the genetic inheritance, the 7 generations of witches flowing through my blood. I learned to read cards like my mother taught me, but I learned to read them truly, seeing not just the archetypes, but the actual truth trying to communicate. I learned to make muñecos, but I learned how to do it with precision and intention, not blind hope. I learned the old prayers in Spanish, in Nahuatl, in older languages that my grandmother had taught my mother, and my mother had taught me. I learned that power is available to those willing to pay the price, and that the price is always exact, never more, never less. The universe keeps perfect balance. Chapter 4, Love and Its Consequences. I married when I was 23. A man named Miguel Delgado, no relation, despite sharing the family name. A construction worker, strong, gentle, entirely without magic, which was exactly what I needed. Will you ever regret not marrying I asked him once, early on. Someone who understands what I am. Do you understand what I am? He asked back. Not fully, I admitted. Then we're even. And I like mysteries. Mysterious keeps you present. You can't get bored with someone you're still discovering. He was smart, this man. Not in the way I was smart, but in the way that matters for actually living. We had Valentina when I was 25. February 14th, as the document records. Love Day, Courage Day. I had wanted to name her something fierce, Xochiquetzal, perhaps, or Itzli, or any of the old goddess names that carried power in their syllables. But Miguel wanted something that could be said with tenderness, and Valentina was both beautiful in a modern way, but carrying the root of Valentia. Courage. The first time I held her, I felt it immediately. The power in her bloodline. 7 generations of magic are already present in her cells, in her bones, in her blood. She was descended from Citlalli. She carried Mercedes' gifts. She was ours, the magic made flesh in a new generation. I held her and made a promise. I will teach you if you want to learn, but I won't force it. The gift has to be chosen, not inherited. The blood carries it, but the person decides what to do with it. Valentina would choose science over magic. But that's not because the power wasn't there. It was simply her path. Chapter 5, The Years of Quiet. From Valentina's birth until her death, I lived what I considered my true life. I was a mother. I was a healer. I was a woman who happened to know things about the future, things about people's hearts, things about what needed to happen for healing and balance. I worked with my hands and my will. I created subtle magic, the kind that people experienced as good luck, or finally making the right decision, or their intuition being particularly clear that day. Miguel died when Valentina was 8. A construction accident. A beam that should have been secured properly. Negligence that should have been caught. He was 42 years old. Young, vital, alive, and then gone. I could have killed the man responsible. I could have made him pay. I had the power. I had the justification. I had the inheritance of 7 generations of witches who knew how to transform grief into weaponry. But I didn't. Instead, I grieved. I raised Valentina. I worked. I lived. I accepted that some suffering is just the cost of living in a world where accidents happen, and people die, and magic can't change everything. Why didn't you? My mother asked, a year after Miguel's death. Do what? I said. Use what you are, make them pay. Because, I said carefully, I'm trying to teach Valentina that power isn't the answer to everything. And I can't teach her that while secretly using power to destroy people. My mother considered this, then nodded. That's when you know you're truly powerful, she said. When you can choose not to use it. Lesser witches use magic because they're afraid. They prove their power through destruction. But true power, she gestured vaguely at the space between us. True power is shown through restraint. Have you ever not used it? I asked. Once, she said. There was a man. I was young, beautiful. He wanted me and thought he could take what I wouldn't give. I had the knowledge to kill him, the power to do it without anyone knowing. But you didn't. But I didn't, she confirmed. I broke his hands instead, magically. Made it so he could never hurt another woman that way. He lived, but he was broken. I chose a middle path. Punishment without death. Justice without complete annihilation. Do you regret it? Every day, she said. But not because I should have killed him. Because the middle path never satisfies anyone. The perpetrator hates you. The victim wants more. Only complete justice, total consequence, ever balances the scales. And that costs everything. She died 3 years later. Heart attack. She was 71. I think sometimes that she used herself up. That the magic extracted its price. That perhaps she knew I would need to be strong for what was coming. And she spent her power to give me what I'd need. The gift of knowledge. The inheritance of 7 generations. The understanding that true power is available to those willing to pay. I just didn't know yet how much I would have to pay. How much it would cost. How far I was willing to go. None of us know that until the moment comes when everything we love is taken and we finally understand what we're capable of.